adding 7 of 9 Jerry Ryan to the Star Trek Voyager cast was undoubtedly a net positive for the fourth live-action Star Trek show, but it blew my mind when I realized how much of an impact 7 had on the entire Star Trek franchise. Like other young women who were drawn to Star Trek, Voyager, when it first aired, I looked up to Captain Catherine Janeway, Kate Mulgrew, and Lieutenant B'Elanna Torres Roxanne Dawson as positive female role models. I was sad when Jennifer Lyons Kez left Star Trek Voyager, and highly skeptical about 7 of 9. My doubts about 7 of 9 faded quickly because a single episode, Star Trek Voyager Season 4, Episode 2, The Gift, proved that Jerry Ryan wasn't only there to boost Voyager's ratings as a sex symbol. Instead, 7's appearance in The Gift was almost grotesque, and Ryan's performance was raw and desperate. 7 of 9 rescued Voyager from the ratings heap, not just because Ryan was gorgeous, but because 7 of 9's character arc explored the essential Star Trek theme of what makes us human. So what would Star Trek be like now if 7 of 9 never joined Star Trek Voyager? It's hard to imagine Star Trek Voyager without 7 of 9. But Voyager's last 4 seasons might have been more stagnant without Jerry Ryan being added to the Voyager cast. Kez would still have left, but without 7 replacing Kez, the Doctor's Robert Picardo character growth might have stalled without anyone to learn from or teach. Few others on the USS Voyager were as willing to risk conflict with Captain Janeway as 7 was. So Janeway's character development might also have stagnated. And without 7 aboard, the Borg Queen probably wouldn't have become one of Janeway's greatest enemies. If Star Trek Voyager reached 7 seasons like Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Voyager's ratings would have continued to drop without a renewed focus. If that wasn't 7 of 9, Season 4's Year of Hell might have covered an entire season instead of being reduced to a 2-part Star Trek Voyager episode. Star Trek Voyager would have been a lot darker and more desperate. That worked for DS9, but making Voyager just as dark as the Dominion War would have steered the Star Trek franchise away from its optimistic roots, maybe for good. Despite appearing in only 3 episodes of Star Trek Picard Season 1, 7 of 9 had a major impact on Admiral Jean-Luc Picard's Patrick Stewart continuing story. Before the USS Voyager's 2378 homecoming, Picard's ordeal as Locutus in Star Trek The Next Generation was the only exception to Borg assimilation being a death sentence. But because 7 was a former drone who had been assimilated as a child and still fully reclaimed her humanity, it was possible for other Borg drones to be saved, too. Without 7, the Borg Reclamation Project in Picard's first season may not have existed at all. Star Trek Picard's Borg Reclamation Project allowed Star Trek The Next Generation's Hugh Jonathan Del Arco to return to Star Trek as a fully liberated drone, even if Hugh's return was too brief. Star Trek Picard Season 3 would also have been radically different without 7 of 9 playing pivotal roles in Starfleet's ultimate victory against the Borg. A new character on the USS Titan might have helped enact Admiral Picard's plan, first taking the Titan where it's needed, and ultimately rallying the remaining crew members to defeat the changeling Borg alliance. While Picard also dealt with Borg-inflicted trauma, the Borg ruined 7's entire life, stealing her childhood and marking her as different even after being liberated. A different character in place of Commander 7 of 9 wouldn't have the same emotional impact. Star Trek would have been radically different after Star Trek Voyager without 7 of 9. and I'd argue the franchise would have actually been much lesser. There's no doubt 7 of 9 helped raise Star Trek Voyager's ratings, so Voyager might not have run for a full 7 seasons without 7 of 9. If interest in Star Trek Voyager waned enough to justify an early cancellation, we probably wouldn't have gotten Star Trek Enterprise. And if we did, Subcommander T'Pol Jolene Blalock would have been different without the template that 7 created. Without 7 of 9, Star Trek would have had one less iconic female character, and likely wouldn't have any characters who represent the outsider experience from a female perspective. Unlike Star Trek, the original series Spock Leonard Nimoy, who denies his humanity, or Star Trek The Next Generation's LT, Commander Data Brent Spiner, who yearns for it, 7 has to understand humanity before deciding to claim it for herself or not. With 7 of 9, Star Trek Voyager created an impressive and quintessentially Star Trek character who continues to impact the franchise to this day.